when you came out after the story broke, you said that the president did not disclose any sources or methods. He did not reveal anything about military operations. Why were you denying things that were not even reported? What the report said is that the president revealed classified information that had been shared by one of our allies in the Middle East. So the question is simply a yes or no question here. Did the president share classified information with the Russians in that meeting?
And as I mentioned already, we don't say what's classified, what's not classified. What I will tell you again is that what the president shared was wholly appropriate. The story combined what was leaked with other information and then insinuated about sources and methods. So I wanted to make clear to everybody that the president in no way compromised any sources or methods in the course of this conversation.
General McMaster, to put a finer point on it, is there now an active investigation into how this information was leaked? And can you tell us about who's running that investigation? And I also would like to ask you, given that President Trump is now going to be meeting face-to-face with literally dozens of foreign leaders, if there are sensitivities to his discretion in what sort of information to decide to declassify, how is that something that you are advising him ahead of this foreign trip?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are no sensitivities in terms of me or anybody who's been with the president in many of these engagements. He shares information in a way that is wholly appropriate. And I should just make maybe the statement here that the president wasn't even aware, of where this information came from. He wasn't briefed on the source and method of the information either. So I'm sorry, this got to be the last question because we do have the president of Turkey coming.
So much fallout from that report that President Trump revealed highly classified info to the Russian foreign minister ambassador during that White House meeting last week.
Let's explain what's at stake right now. This is information about the fight against ISIS that is so sensitive that the U.S. doesn't even share it with our allies. It could jeopardize the source of the secret. If true, this could be the most significant and dangerous mistake of the Trump presidency.
And we've got our incredible team standing by, and they're covering every angle.
And we begin at the White House with our senior correspondent, Cecilia Vega, who was there for all the fallout all through the night. Good morning, Cecilia.
A long night indeed, George. Here, the presidents, as you know, are legally allowed to declassify information. The bigger question here right now is, did President Trump reveal classified intelligence that could jeopardize the source of that information and risk critical intelligence sharing agreements with some of our closest allies? This morning, the White House in damage control mode. National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster stepping up to the cameras, denouncing the Washington Post report that claims President Trump disclosed extremely sensitive intelligence during last week's meeting with Russian officials.
At no time were intelligence sources or methods discussed. And the president did not disclose any military operations that were not already publicly known. I was in the room. It didn't happen.
He left without taking questions.
Thank you.
But McMaster did not directly address the key finding of that report, that the president shared highly classified information that could compromise a key source of intelligence on ISIS. The reverberations still being felt from that bombshell, that classified intelligence allegedly about an ISIS plot in Syria. The Post says it was given to the U.S. by a partner and is so sensitive that not even allies have access to it. The president reportedly boasting to the Russians about his briefings and inside knowledge. Aides were so concerned, the Post says they asked that the controversial portion be stricken from internal memos and for the full transcript to be limited to a small circle of recipients. Opponents pounced, pointing to then-candidate Trump on the campaign trail and his tough words about Hillary Clinton's handling of classified intelligence.
In my administration, I'm going to enforce all laws concerning the protection of classified information.
This morning, the Washington Post reporters behind that explosive report defending it.
Many sources we've talked to in covering this administration are concerned about how intelligence and classified, sensitive information is treated and handled. We stand by our story 100%.
They are definitely standing by their story. Now, the timing of this report could not be worse for this administration. Of course, it falls on the heels of the White House's bungled firing of the FBI director. After this story broke here last night, we heard yelling behind closed doors here in this West Wing. Robin, this is a White House in chaos right now.